Okay, this next problem deals with an empirical rule, and this is just a way to talk about how things are distributed and what percentages are between what standard deviations. Basically, everything is broken down kind of like a little pyramid here, and within one standard deviation of the mean, it's 68%. So this is your mean, and within one standard deviation each way. Within two standard deviations, right here, you have 95% of the data that falls there. And that's what, we consider kind of normal, is within two standard deviations. But within three standard deviations is 99.7. And so we will have a few questions that will ask us about the empirical rule. And there's the example of an empirical rule in your PowerPoints. Now let's look at our problem. Okay, in our problem, the blood platelet counts of a group of women have a bell-shaped distribution with a mean of 250.8 and a standard deviation of 6.5. All units are 1,000 cells. Use the empirical rule and find the approximate percentages below. All right, well, first of all, let's pull up a calculator and clear it out. Okay, I want to find, as best I can, okay, now that we have the calculator like we want it, we want to find the area that, or the percentage that's one standard deviation, two standard deviations, and then three standard deviations above and below. So we're going to start with the mean of 250.8, and we want to subtract one standard deviation, and then we want to have the mean, and we want to add one standard deviation. Okay, these two numbers over here, 68%, are between those two numbers. Okay, our first question did not ask us that, so let's actually go see what's within two standard deviations. So 250.8 minus 2 times 62.5, and then 250.8, I put the wrong number in, plus two standard deviations. Okay, is 375.8 and 125.8. And you see that's what you got. Well, hopefully you remember what it was, but if you don't, pop that back up real quick and you can see what is the two standard deviations, and that is 95%. Okay, then B says approximately what percentage of women with platelet counts between 63 and 438.3. Okay, sounds more like we're going three standard deviations now, but let's put it in and see, just to be sure. We subtract 3. We want to multiply it by the 62.5 for the standard deviation. Okay, that's the lower end, and 250.8 plus the 3 standard deviations. Okay, that is the 438. So if you need to, look up your PowerPoint again, and that's 99.7. You do kind of need to familiarize yourselves with those percentages. Okay, so that was the empirical rule, kind of like little tiers that got 1 standard deviation both ways of the mean, 68, 2, 95, and then 3 standard deviations, 99.7.